That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
It's now time to go to the continent where Geralt of Rivia has misadventures and his other co-star characters, Yennefer of Venderberger and Cyrilla of Sintra, don't say "Hey Siri" to her, at least not these days. Your devices will reply. Our star and time-tossed trio of characters that I imagine will converge at some point, but I just don't know. This is my Henry Cavill Witcher voice. Yes, it's time to go to episode 3 and 4 of The Witcher.
Yennefer of Venderberg sounds like a Swedish chef character.
It does. It does. And you know what?
Cookie.
I was writing down her name and it auto-corrected to Jennifer, and it was like, of course, because
Of course it did.
like,
yes.
right, that's what it is.
This is the early, yes.
Jennifer of Vanderberger.
Yennefer of Venderberg. You put the cheeky in the little stewie. Yennefer.
I mean, that one feels like you just put syllables in a bag and pulled them out. Vanderberger.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
Would you like some cheese on your Vanderberg?
Oh my gosh.
All right,
All of our Polish constituency are like, duh, Nathan and Reed.
Yeah, we lost the one. Beckley. So we're getting to episodes 3 and 4 now. Had you did us the favor of kind of partnering in this material. Good on you. You're a good friend and media consumer. What was your familiarity with this series before these 4 episodes?
Pretty much zero, pretty much nothing. I knew it was on Netflix, but I knew it was based on a video game. But before I watched the first episode, I didn't know anything beyond that. I figured out a little later that the video game was based on a book from Poland.
Right.
I didn't know that before I started.
Do any of the 3 of us know, like,
Here it comes. No, we don't.
No,
we don't.
It's like, why even ask, Nathan?
We don't know. We don't.
No, the thought that came to me was like, how many games are there? Does the TV series track the narrative of the games? Who knows? We need a Witcher expert. Yeah. I haven't either. It's just more fun. It's just more fun to be like, what is happening on this show? Did you know that, Steve, that the characters' stories were taking place in alternate timelines, or in?
I figured that out when Reed said it last week.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and your first clue to that would be in episode 4,
right?
Of like that's really the first time. If you had not known that by like extracurricular information, which is how I found it out, your first clue to that would be in episode 4 when Geralt shows up with characters we've already seen die
at
the banquet, and then they're all showing up, and the Queen Calanthe. Yeah. Okay. Of Sintra.
I'm good this week.
You're like, all right,
I got him.
But yeah, that would be your first clue.
Yeah. Now well, that's helpful. So Reed, speak broadly. So these today we're talking about episode 3, Betrayer Moon, episode 4 of Banquets, Bastards, and Burials. And how do you feel knowing our experience last week about these 2 episodes? Did they change your mind at all? Did it elevate at all? Is it you kind of a neutral gear? What are your feelings?
So it's super funny that you should ask that, because episode 3 really energized me quite a bit, and most of it revolved around the things that they did with Geralt, which we can get into in some more specifics in just a little bit. But no, 3 and 4 in stark contrast to my somewhat stunned and confused and befuddled experience of episodes 1 and 2. 3 and 4 really have me. Like I'm kind of in on the show now, because first of all, it's a little bit more streamlined a little bit. I think the picking up the plot, specifically in episode 3, picking up the plot with Yennefer, so being able to sort of thread something through her, and being able to thread something through that is a direct continuation, because even the Geralt plot lines have been, okay, that was the monster that week. this is the monster this week. And then in episode 3, we get that again. I'll come back to that one. But I think
the Striga, the princess.
The Striga. Yeah. But carrying over Striga. So carrying over what was happening with Yennefer's plotline, I think anchored me a bit more. And even though there's some elements of particularly the ending of her story, which, you know, that whole sequence of her transformation is really uncomfortable to sit through, but I think it has a really nice payoff. The stuff with Geralt and actually like fighting to uncover this mystery of the Striga, and then changing from just being a slaughter machine to actually trying to rescue this creature and save this creature, just really pivoted me around a little bit in a way that I think put me on board more for the show. That was also carried over into what they dealt with in episode 4, where all of the Geralt stuff in episode 4, I was super energized by, because again, we're seeing characters we've already seen before. They're coming back in different contexts. Some things are starting to solidify. So yeah, I'm in on it. It pivoted from curiosity and homework to I was actively engaged with the majority of 3 and 4 as plot lines, as episodes, as, you know, constructed hours of entertainment. I'm in on it.
Yeah, I think I liked 4. How do I say this? So 3 had, as you alluded to, the kind of key scene of Yennefer's transformation. The Yennefer story in 4 was the first time I really felt like, oh, this is cool. The portal chase.
The portal chase stuff was great.
Ant monster thing.
Like, yeah, Psycho Gemini Cricket. Yeah, no, it's absolutely like, yeah, it was really and gets us an opportunity to explore kind of like what she brings to bear in terms of her power structure and how she. I feel like the way you just said that makes me want to introduce 2 notes here, and because we still got 6 episodes left, but most of the rest I imagine will be some version of plot and 4 episodes left
talking about.
Yes, we've got 4 episodes.
There's 8 total.
There's only 8. Yeah,
whatever. Yeah, I mean, you know, 6, 8, 10, Vandenberg. You know, whatever.
If it ain't the names that'll get you the math. So like,
yes, exactly. And you good segue, Reed. Thank you. Way to tee me up. So 2 sort of complaints I have about the series overall that have. One that has sort of ironed itself out, though still could have been a thing, but the second one that I still kind of quibble with. So one is, and Steve, this is maybe fresh for you too, so feel free to jump in. So I went today to read the Wikipedia page to kind of refresh myself, because, you know, listeners may know this, we record 2 episodes at a time, so I've watched 4 episodes of The Witcher, and so I was just trying to reframe, okay, what is happening in these episodes. And I would encourage anyone to go do that, because if you're following along the show, because something the show doesn't do in technical form is give any bearing for chronology, and the Wikipedia gives years, like you know, for our 2021, whatever theirs is, it's like 1200x, you know, 12 this, 12 that.
I was just noticing that. I'm looking at it right now. And
and I think what I'm trying to get to here is the amount of help that provided to orient myself in the narrative, that I think, I don't know, I think I wish the show had front loaded, because you can still do, okay, these are taking place across different timelines, but tell me that, because I feel like I spent so much time those first 2 episodes in utter confusion as to kind of what is happening and their relationships to each other, that knowing that would have really helped ground me in what I'm watching. Because ultimately it is very cool when you get to the banquet and Geralt encounters Calanthe, and clearly we're now in the past of Ciri, who is not yet born. Their intersection becomes clear in that episode, so that's pretty cool, even with something as silly as something called the law of surprise, whatever. But part of me really, in reading the Wikipedia, I was like, I wish they had just done this, because it would have it would have unburdened some of that major confusion. Do either of you echo that or share that thought?
I totally agree. I would completely echo, not to just like tramp all over your opportunity, Steve, but like, but I think
welcome
like
back, Steve.
even just like holding up the years beforehand might have helped with that. Now, to that end, if you as the viewer hadn't figured out by episode 4 that things are time jumping, episode 4 would have firmly solidified it for you. But I do think those first 3 would have been less work and less confusion to simply, identify, yes, this is the sort of the timetable that we're playing with. And I don't know, I go a bit back and forth on it because plenty of other outlets move around through time and play around through time, be they a movie, be they a book, be they a TV series. But I think most of the time when a medium plays around in time, there is usually another element of its structure that is linear. For instance, Tarantino with Pulp Fiction, going back 20 years now at this point.
94.
25, 26 years. Yeah, almost 27.
Yeah.
So going back to Quentin Tarantino, yes, that story is told non-linearly and jumps around in time, but it does so to fulfill an emotional arc. And so one of the things that's difficult to ascertain at this point in the show, we're midway through the show, watched 4 episodes, and at this point, I do think that I can't quite grasp the emotional arc they're aiming for that would justify telling this story unbridled from time. So put in slightly simpler terms, maybe by the end of episode 8, I'll look back on the rest of the show and say, oh, cool, this is why they introduced this piece here and this piece here and this piece here. But moving through the episodes singularly, I don't quite have that cohesion yet of the emotional sort of grounding.
And I'm not even arguing that I wish they hadn't done the time jumping. I'm just saying I kind of wish I had known and understood that, because I'll join with you, not with the Pulp Fiction example, but to me, it's not about something else needs to be linear. It's about, I'm going to do it. Lost. Okay. Lost ends up time jumping, but 1, it's a very dramatic payoff when it happens. And 2, Lost more or less is rooted in a naturalistic setting that I understand. The problem doing it here is I don't understand anything. And now on top of that, meaning I just mean it's a fantastical world that the rules I'm trying to figure out that are being kind of shadowed from me. Oh, by the way, it's also unstructured time-wise. It's just a lot. It's a lot to kind of foist from an accessibility standpoint. And I would think, call me crazy, but I would think if you're trying to garner fresh fans to the property, accessibility is what you need, and what you want is just and you can't hang it all on Cavill, who has some very broad, strong shoulders, but it's a lot of weight to carry for one man.
No, indeed. No, you need a calibration point. You need something to sort of, and that is the argument. I mentioned this in last week's conversation about it. That's the argument of, are you trying to appeal to the broadest base possible, or are you trying to get it right for the people who would buy in on this and say, wow, they really captured the spirit of it? And to be honest, I don't know at this point, because I have not read the books and have not played the video games. So I don't know.
You ain't fat. You ain't fat. You're nothing.
Oh my gosh.
You're not a fan. You're not a fan. The joke I'm going for.
Got it. I'm like,
this ain't for you.
This is
this isn't for us.
Right.
No, it's true.
I'm trying to get the benefit of the doubt so far.
Exactly.
That's true.
What are some notes, Steve, that you would have from at least episodes 3 and 4 that they can be broad, they can be specific?
Well, truthfully, I haven't gotten all the way through episode 4 yet. I've gotten to the part where
unplug him, Reed. Unplug him.
I wasn't supposed to say that.
No. I am. You are always welcome here.
Yes, absolutely.
I kind of get the gist of it. I know where it's headed.
Yeah. I just love that, he had a great film about a year ago. It was a surprise hit. It had a lot of naysayers going into it based on his the CGI design of him. I'm glad to see Sonic the Hedgehog get some more screen time in episode 4 as Dooney the whatever he is. Like, what? Oh yeah, so let's get back to my number 2 here, which is
number 2.
Yep, y'all made the joke for me. Is everybody can do anything. I'm just really like, when I'm unstuck in time, and it's one thing for the Witcher, the titular character, to have some sort of undefined power set, which, I guess is like it's like the Force. But kind of a lot of other characters can do random stuff too. I'm like, okay. And every type of critter and creature and monster populates this world. Okay. I guess that's what's on the continent.
Here's the thing. I'm not so I'm in this weird place when I hear you say that, because I don't disagree with you, because I don't understand the rules of navigation. At the same time, that's kind of how magical fantasy works. There are creatures who can do X.
I hear
there
that.
Are creatures who can do Y. There are and the creatures are all populated, in wide array. And so it's like, that's why I say sincerely that I'm kind of like, I'm kind of with that. And the reason I'm with it is because emotionally I'm having the same experience. I don't understand the structure around who can do what. That having been said, though, I can't really fault the show for that, except to say that they did not, define that for me yet. And maybe that's something that I'm just meant to accept and roll with, or is it something that's going to be a little bit more constructed in the later parts of the show? That's the part that I don't know at this point. I could only speak to the fact that, at this point in time, I don't know who can do what, why they can do it, or how they got to be what they're.
Magic.
It's just magic.
I kind of like how you learn a little bit every episode. They don't give it to you all at once. And you're kind of like a fly on the wall in this universe. And
right.
I like the portals. Everyone loves a show with portals.
Portals.
You know what? They don't make any more shows with portals. I'm glad to see.
She's got a sling ring, only without.
There you go.
Right, that's it,
Mr. Doctor. No, and so it's clear. I'm being I don't mean to come off critical. I'm saying I'm kind of actually more on board after these 2 than I was the first 2.
Yes. Yeah.
If these 2 things had some clearer definition, I think I'd really be bought in. Right now, the show, not you, Steve and Freed, are relying on my affection for Henry Cavill and my appreciation for seeing monsters doing the heavy lifting for you, which they kind of do. But some of those other things, it'd be like, okay, man, if you just sort of tweak this, maybe, I don't know, whatever.
I gotta say, just to reiterate for myself, about 10 minutes into the Geralt plotline with the Striga in episode 3, I actively felt myself fully engaged and like, I want to find out what happens here. I'm bought in on the character. I like that. And that carried over into the Geralt plotline in The Banquet in episode 4. It's got a good blend of humor. There's some good sort of thrills to that. Like the whole moment you joked about Sonic the Hedgehog, which yes, that's funny. But like the moment when Geralt like steps in and finally decides to save him, that's a really energizing moment. That's a moment where and then that whole fight, it becomes the big fray against, them against all the rest of the knights. And then, the husband to the queen joins into the fight and everything. And so it's like all of that was very energizing entertainment. And at a certain point, this may come off like a backhanded compliment. I don't intend it to be. At a certain point, I stopped caring about what I didn't understand, and I was enjoying what they were doing. And that was very specific to kind of these couple of episodes. And I had enough to anchor myself into what was happening in the scene to be actively entertained. And though I was still quite confused about the broader ramifications of things, at a certain point, I didn't care anymore because I enjoyed what they were giving me.
Yeah. And I do think The Banquet So my big, I didn't share in your sort of investment or buy-in with the Striga plotline, though. I thought, I mean, I will never fault the show. It nails the monster stuff. Like, it looks great. The production design is great. The creature design is great. All of that's really strong. And the general, as you described, kind of boorish humor attached to just Geralt, the character, works. The things that turn the corner for me, even though, silly things like the Sonic bit and the Law of Surprise, which I just wish they'd come up with a better name, but I like the concept. I liked the convergence that happens there, and it's like, oh, okay, this is kind of cool. This this does, even though it doesn't propel me to want to go sit and watch it, it recontextualizes those first couple episodes to get you there, and the sling ring with the ant monster. So yeah, that was all good.
Awesome. Before we kind of wind it down, Steve, did you have anything else to add, or are we good?
Well, I mentioned Doctor Strange, a trivial bit.
Yeah.
The character Stregobor, who's the mage in the town of Blaviken.
Do we ever?
That's right.
He's played by Lars Mikkelsen, the brother of Mads Mikkelsen.
What?
Doctor Strange. Yeah.
Yay! That's cool.
Whose film Another Round just won Best International Film.
Oh, yeah.
It did. It's a pretty good movie. I liked it.
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
I guess I didn't recognize Lars Mikkelsen right away because of his big beard in this show. But yeah.
Ah, nice.
I like old Mads.
Very well done.
That's been another foray into the continent of the land and world of The Witcher, where sling rings, ant monsters, and anthropomorphic hedgehogs all live in harmony or not in harmony, depending on the episode. Tune in next week for episodes 5 and 6, where more might be revealed, but there will definitely be monsters and probably naked people. Until then, this has been TV Guideposts.
Okie dokie Guideposts.